Welcome Malakas, my name is CouchCube and I'm having a constant battle in my brain about which one of these two games is the better. I'm talking about Origins and I'm talking about Odyssey. I have decided to try and settle it. I'm going to go through a few categories and I don't mind Valhalla, and Mirage was reviewed by myself on the PlayStation 5 a couple of months ago. I will link. And talking of Creed games on the channel, I have standalone reviewed Origins, I've compared Odyssey to Valhalla, Syndicate got reviewed, I've even gone back to the old school Black Flag against some of that Unity material. This is the one combination I haven't put out, and it's Odyssey and Origins, both on top end on the PC. Odyssey had to go down a minor notch to keep it at 60 frames per second, but I've kind of got the smoothest performance I've seen these games at, full stop, and it's been great. So Origins is 2017, it's the older of the games, hence the reason I can push that spec a little bit higher. We have had some frame patches over on 9th gen console. Xbox get the best deal with this game. I think it's running at 4K and a PEG 60, but sliders are up, more to my point, and that brings us over technically to the first category, which is location. One of the more important aspects to an Assassin's Creed game. Origins is set 48 BC, well the majority of it, and that title intro, that song that they have had in Assassin's Creed 2, I actually found it in the Cleopatra film, the 1963 version with Elizabeth Taylor, and that is of course your homework. Please report back if you have looked at that film lately, because some of the costumes and set pieces are mind-blowing, not to mention the size of Taylor's whammers. Odyssey is set in ancient Greece. Now this is one of the toughest comparisons of all of the categories. If this was Valhalla and Mirage, it would be easy choosing between the motherland and Baghdad, but this one, because of the colour in Greece and because of the time period, it is such a beautiful Assassin's Creed map. It really is. Origins with its sandstorms, beautiful skies and amazing looking sands and pyramids is so close to this, but I'm just going to have to settle on Odyssey taking this one by a whisker, mind you. Also remember 2018, it's slightly newer, so some of this clutter is only here because I've got everything racked up, but the clutter had to be put down to high. That was one thing that broke my heart. I couldn't have ultra clutter. We also have two quite major differences with seafaring and water traversal. So Origins, because it was straight after Black Flag, this is my own personal view, moved away from that naval combat model. If you don't know, Black Flag features ships, full-blown fleet systems. You cannot free swim around in the water too much, but it was a major aspect and a huge section to that game. I think there was a bit of rebound psychology here where they wanted to give the fans something a little different. There is a lot of water and the Nile runs right through the entire map, but you are not seafaring or governing any large vessel.
Ready, arrow! We need to fire again!
Odyssey swings right back into it with a little less complexity, but you do have your own ship, you upgrade it, you even have a crew which can be switched out with special edition crew members, which is amazing. Some of them feature from the other games, but the shanties are back, the singing is back, but more importantly, you can dive and go anywhere. You can jump off that boat and go and get some treasure at any point. There was a diving bell system with Black Flag, so Odyssey really has, pun intended, pushed the boat out with this mechanic, and it won loads of people over. It also just works flawlessly as well. Seeing it on the PC, my god! Origins still features larger boats. You just can't command them. They act as like islands with enemies and loot on them, so they're interesting to traverse, take over and explore.
He's climbing! Get him down! Here!
Not having a naval system does kind of detract from what Origins has to offer. It's an interesting one. If you'd never played Black Flag, you wouldn't miss it. And I do appreciate the surface level with it all. Now, you haven't got to worry about all of that stuff, where your boat is parked, going island hopping. It's very boots on the ground. And that was quite refreshing, particularly after Black Flag and for the location itself being a full-blown desert with no open seas anywhere. But yeah, Odyssey does pip it on that one again. So we're currently 2-0 to Odyssey.
What happened?
I think we need a win here from Origins on something. And for me, it is that standard walking around, that standard map. So not talking about any of the huge set pieces or bigger built up cities. I feel that Origins has a bit more to offer on that plant variety and basic wildlife, which we will get to. But locations that aren't, you know, the massive set pieces or built up cities or towns. It's got this great ebb and flow with the detail and the dust storms and a lot of the distance being mirage. It's a very cool feeling open world map. With Odyssey, you can start getting a bit snowblind. You start seeing the same stuff sort of pasted around. Not everything deviates hugely because you've got this European ancient Greek aesthetic. It still just get a bit samey here and there. But there are islands that offer some really crazy alternatives to the landscape, but the majority of it is kind of what you see here. So I'm going to give Origins a win for having a half decent standard map. Let's talk wildlife, because it's a huge section for me. One of the reasons Valhalla didn't quite nail it. Odyssey has bears, lions, massive boars, giant cats, even a snake or two. But none of it really holds a candle to the craziness available to you in ancient Egypt. Hippos, crocodiles, vultures, jaguar leopard things. It's the amphibious ones that are the biggest problem because they can navigate the water and land. They're all equally terrifying. Check out this shot. So this category was relatively easily won by Origins for me, but I am a little bit biased because of my preference on the crocodiles. I think they should just be in every Assassin's Creed as standard. These two games, man, I gotta say, at 60 frames and at high settings, they're unbelievably good looking still. And the combat, it flows, the visuals, they just soak in. This is non-HDR footage, by the way, and only 1080, but still so impressive. I have managed to walk out of that pond and down this hill numerous times on different systems, and I can safely say where we are here right now and what we are looking at is peak. Just briefly on the wildlife thing with Odyssey before moving forward, I do want to mention it does go full Clash of the Titans and have some monsters, special event quests in and around that map, so huge kudos on that front. Origins does also go a bit supernatural, giving you some quite big mythical beasts to fight on main campaign, so both of them get a plus for having not just standard animals in.
I'll make sure every single one of these cultists dies by my hands.
Let's talk about the cultists, the questing system, and the story in both of the games. The cultist murder, assassinate on the tree thing was kind of refined for Odyssey. It was around in Origins and it was speckled in to quite a few of the previous games. It is a lot bigger, there's more complication to it, more clues, so you get a nod for that Odyssey. And we're up to 2-2, and now it is now 3-2, what with the questing system and the story, which I actually prefer in Origins. It's more gritty, it's more gory, it's a bit twistier, but as mentioned on that cultist choice front, Odyssey just has the sheer wealth of content, side quests, all manner of crazy little islands that operate autonomously to that campaign. There's just a lot more in Odyssey. The same can be said for its mercenary system / nemesis system and the barbarian setup that we saw in Origins, which is really that system in its teething area. I think they really refined it for Odyssey and it shows. Plus you've got that gladiatorial variety with all of the personalities.
You will die!
If you're not sure what I'm on about here, both of these games have a mercenary system, which is like ultra tough guys walking around the map. Odyssey has a meter in the bottom right, which signifies how much trouble you're in with them and how often they will spawn right in the middle of when you're trying to get something else done. So you have to reset that all the time. It costs money, or you can kill an individual to do it. The barbarians in Origins seem to be relatively stationary. They are just ranked by name, and you walk over and take them down. In theory.
Patience! I am all day!
It's time to talk about the combat. We're going to start with the range first, and we're going to start with Origins. You get 2 bow slots. Essentially, you could have a fast firing bow or a single shot sniper like setup, and you can jostle between the two, and you also have throwables, which we'll get to. Odyssey doesn't have a choice of bow slot, but it does offer power up. Bottom left, you can have up to 4 when you're aiming. They can be a charge shot, some sort of combustion thing going on, and if stuff is super far away, it's very handy to not have to worry about switching another bow in. Both games benefit so much in this range combat with that smooth frame rate. Feel so confident. So that one's kind of a tie, but moving over to close quarters combat, and it's a very different kettle of fish with Origins. You actually have a shield slot on L1. This stance can be broken if you're whacked hard enough, but you can also break the enemies when they come in for a clang using the B button whilst guarding. Yes, we have a shield based parry system in an AC game. You also have a dodge slowdown, so whacking square right at the last minute gives the enemy player a massive disadvantage because they're stationary for about 4 seconds. To make up for the lack of specials, not having a Spartan kick, that sort of thing, you do have a build and a sort of release rage meter, which is R1, R2, and that makes everything go yellow. It differs depending on what weapon you've got equipped, and it is a massive get out of jail card and looks pretty awesome. Same thing goes for the glory kills. At the end of a combo or at the end of a larger grouped fight, the final guy will normally get some sort of horrendous thing happen to them, and it's pretty cool stuff.
Shit! Trouble here! Alarm!
Odyssey, on the other hand, gives you a set of special allocated hotkey moves that can change everything in an instant, and earning the yellow meter to fill them up is kind of what the whole combat system is about. Parry is a timed L1 and R1, and it also knocks back just about everybody around you, giving you a massive window for counter. Dumb down is a harsh phrase to use on this system, and I can imagine some people very much preferring it, but for me, I am 100% more in favour of that Origins system, purely because you get a shield slot, which is not there for Odyssey. Blew my mind because everyone else has got one, and that's another great little angle for the loot and cosmetic change.
Get over here and fight me! I will watch the lights rain out.
Where are we up to with the scores? Okay, it's 3-all, and there is something I want to address with Origins that bugs the hell out of me. Just like Odyssey not having a shield slot, Origins has only got one armor fits all entire body slot-in system. There is no head, shins, wrists, core, torso to find. You have to just go and buy them from the outlets in their entirety. If there were loads of them, I would be over the moon and have choice everywhere, but you're looking at like 5 or 6 in the opening half of the game. Some side quests will give you cool things to look at on that front, but I just wish we had a time machine and could put that old loot system away and replace it with the new one in Odyssey. Okay, we are getting to conclusion time, and I suppose all of this is going to fall on to two things. How good their DLC is, the added content, which I cannot comment on because I've not tried on either, and also the end game content. Now, I finished both of these over on a PS4 Pro. Didn't really muck around with anything outside of the story, but since then, looking at the Mercenary endgame and the Colosseum, which I haven't featured in this video, Odyssey's got a really strong argument for having better content in that direction. But Origins still does cling on a bit. I do prefer that story, to be honest, and the chariot fights are a really cool addition up against that Colosseum. But I think Odyssey just pips it on, again, sheer size, and that may be because it's the newer game. So what is the score now? Where are we up to? Don't worry about that. I'm looking at it like this. I can only keep one of these on the SSD drive. There's not room enough to get all the editing done with them both sat there all the time. It doesn't really matter how colossal or massive your content is if the day-to-day isn't enjoyable. And I just enjoy Origins combat so much more that is the sell for me. That's the deal breaker.
Wait a minute. Keep the neck safe.
Do not get me wrong though, Odyssey is as strong as hell, and not having that ship-to-ship combat is a massive loss. Check out the detail on the ocean at the top here. I do hope they bring it back for some of the more recent ACs. It's certainly not in Shadows and Mirage. Don't get me talking about Mirage. I will leave you with an older outro. This was my Origins PlayStation 5 review. Check it out closely. It does not look like what we're looking at here. I nearly forgot I do have one more when Ubisoft was good video coming up. I am looking forward to hearing about what I got wrong in the comments. My name was Couch Coop. I'll see you down there.
Like an Egyptian.